Will AI replace your current sales job in the next 5 to 10 years and ultimately lead you to, well, going broke? It's a good question. And it's a question I get asked almost every single day by the inside salespeople I work with, as well as people thinking about joining and competing in this industry. And with AI becoming more intelligent by the day, new processing models coming out, becoming faster, having more data, it's hard not to worry. And it's even more difficult to not get anxious or have anxiety when you look at the headlines that come out every single day almost about AI replacing hundreds of millions of jobs by 2030. And with news articles such as Goldman Sachs saying that 300 million full-time jobs worldwide can be replaced by 2030, McKinsey Global Institute estimating between 400 to 800 million workers being displaced by automation by 2030, or even the scariest and dirtiest organizations like the World Economic Forum, who we all know don't have our best interests in mind, looking at displacing up to 92 million roles over the next 5 years. And so I know you get out of bed every morning, you get to work, you take your calls, but you have this looming, persistent thought in the back of your head: is all this for nothing, and am I just going to become another figure in statistic report in the next few years? And so today I just want to give you my honest thoughts of what I expect to actually go down the next 5 to 10 years here. Now, full transparency, anyone who gives you a prediction here is just that, a prediction. The honest answer is no one knows the future. However, with good data and someone like myself who's been in this industry for 7+ years, we can give you a pretty accurate hypothesis of what we think is going to go down. And so let's just cut down to the meat of it. Will AI replace my job in the next 5 or 10 years? And the short answer is yes, but with a caveat. Let me explain. And here's the thing. AI is going to run into massive resistance barriers at certain stages as it starts to automate more and more tasks, as its intelligence and speed of processing and its reasoning get better. And there's really two massive resistant walls that I don't see AI being able to overcome in the next 5 to 10 years. The first one will be due to complexity and reasoning that I don't think we'll have the technology for. And then the second one will be due to laws and regulations that if we somehow do have the technology for, that will prevent AI from developing any further in a specific field. So let me explain. So if we were to look at AI in your sales job and the different stages it needs to pass to get to the stage where ultimately it's replacing you on a live high-ticket sales call, there's a couple hurdles we need to go through first. The first stage of what we can expect, and that we actually are seeing now with a couple of my clients and softwares are using, is the pre-call setup. So such as things as sending unique email sequences to someone that's booking a call to improve the show rate, reaching out over text and confirming the sales call to increase show rate, grading applications and auto-grading and canceling calls based off the application grade if we think the quality will be lower, and even looking for potential objections before they hop on the call. This is the first stage of AI overtaking your sales job. And the honest answer is all this stuff is happening right now as we speak. Now, the second stage of AI replacing your sales job would essentially mean that it needs to be competent enough to replace a junior level sales rep, aka a setter. Now, if you don't even know what a setter is and you're in sales and worrying about this, you shouldn't even be on this video, but let me just explain for the 2% that don't understand. What a setter is someone that outbound dials all the leads that didn't book a call and get them to book a call, or it's someone that has a first initial call with a setter after they self-book to pre-qualify them a little bit more, pre-sell them in preparation for the sales call. And the honest answer here is AI is currently in this stage as well. I have a multitude of sales teams I work with that use AI in some component when it comes to AI texting, AI follow-up, as well as even AI setting for basic industries such as HVAC or roofing. In some of these industries, they're not doing that bad of a job. Now, the truth is I can go out and get the best setter that I personally know that I've trained and developed, put them against AI, and they will outperform the AI every single day of the week, even with AI working 24/7 and them working, let's say, normal 9 to 5. But that doesn't mean it's not going to be replaced in the future. And as the AI gets better and better and better over the years, to be frank with you, I don't see that this industry is actually going to need human setters in possibly 5 to 10 years. Which essentially means one thing, that we are at our third and final stage, which is AI replacing the actual human closer. And as we approach overcoming this stage, that means there's only one stage left, and that's replacing us as a closer on a high-ticket sales call. Now, will AI succeed with this next 5 to 10 years? I don't think so. Let me explain. You see, the first barrier of resistance that AI is going to have a very difficult time when it comes to replacing a high-ticket closer is understanding EQ. Now, EQ, if you're not already familiar, is the ability to perceive, use, and understand a handful of emotions. And this is something that AI handles terribly. You see, at the end of the day, high-ticket sales conversations are highly complex conversations. There is so much nuance that goes into having these conversations that you can't create a logical if and then statement to have AI decipher exactly what to say at that exact moment. Because even if someone does give you the answer that would be needed to pass in a script, for example. So let's look at an example for this. Let's say that we have a prospect that gives us a financial objection and says that they don't have the money to move forward today. If we want to make sure that it's purely just financial before we figure out the logistical part of how to make the deal work for them, we need to make sure that there's no other objections on the table, such as uncertainty, speaking to the spouse, fear, whatever it may be that's preventing them from moving forward. So for example, in this case, we'd isolate entitlement twice. Okay, so funds aside, do you feel this is exactly what you need to achieve XYZ result or solve XYZ in pain point? Prospect says yes, right? I would say, okay, so you're 100% in, and this is exactly what you want to do. It's just a matter of making it work financially, and then we're ready to get started today. Is that correct? Now, the prospect could have responded with something like, yeah. And in the scenario of an AI closer, that passes the if and statement of their scenario on how to handle the financial objection, and that AI will assume it was purely just financial and move on to logistical steps. But what a human is able to decipher is the tonality and the sub-communication that a prospect has. For example, if they were to say exactly how I said that on a video call, you can tell there's some uncertainty there just in the tone of their voice. If they're slouched over or looking away or not the camera, they're probably not that confident. And unless you have that human EQ to decipher that, pick up on that, and then obviously act on that and call that out and get their real objection, which might be fear or uncertainty, we would have never closed that deal. And that's a very dumbed down, simple version of this scenario, but expanded to over the course of the entire call and all the thousands of minor sub-communications that can happen in a 60-minute sales call over all your sales combos of every single day, every single week, and every single month. You simply just can't train AI on that. And because of this, I ultimately see this as being the first major resistance wall that AI will not be able to overcome in the next 5 to 10 years to ultimately replace a high-ticket closer. So can they replace all the pre-call, pre-qualifying parts of a sales job? Yes, and they're already doing so. Can they replace a setter on a sales call? We're starting to, we're not fully there yet, but eventually, yes. But can we teach AI to have the EQ that a human would have to understand these minor little nuances when it comes to high ticket sales? I don't think so. And that's simply just because we don't even have anywhere near even kindergarten tech level for something like that yet. There's no AI model out there that can even start to understand human tonality and influctuation and what those emotions associated even mean. So due to the fact we haven't even created the technology for it, I'd probably say we're pretty far off from that. But I know you're probably thinking, but what if it does get there? And the honest answer is, I think you're still okay. And here's why. You see, out of all the conversations I have regarding this subject, either online or in person, everyone seems to forget that there's one main key player that you can't leave out of this conversation. A key player that sits there, looms, safeguards, protects, and some would even say is more of the mafia and the mob when it comes to conversations like this. And what that one major key player everyone's forgetting is called is the FTC. Yeah, those guys, the Federal Trade Commission, the people that are notorious for suing all the top internet marketers that you possibly know for millions and millions and millions of dollars and effectively stopping 90% of gurus and scammers online. Yes, the FTC is the big bad monster under the bed that every internet marketer is absolutely terrified of. And if you see a world where they sue these internet marketers for up to $100 million, shut down their entire business, all over due to the fact they made some over promises in the ad creatives and the hook calling out to their audience, if you think they're going to let AI run rampant and loose, closing people at the highest level, you need to think again. Because if AI somehow gets to the point where it understands human emotional intelligence better than a human can, it can close better than a human, it can talk better than a human, it can manipulate, gaslight, and convince better than a human. Well, essentially, that would be like throwing any junior level chess person into the most complex AI chess player and asking them to beat it. The honest answer is they're going to lose every single time. And if we're talking about a scenario where there's an AI salesperson that can close up to 100% of the time or damn near it and take people's credit cards in 60 minutes or less at the highest level possible, never seen before, and you think the FTC is just gonna allow that at mass scale, I think you're in for a rude awakening. And so the honest answer is I don't see FTC allowing this, and I see them putting massive laws and regulations in place to stop this when it comes. And there's really only 3 scenarios that I can see happening, and each one is beneficial to you as a closer. So scenario 1 is the FTC doesn't allow it at all, and they say no robots selling high ticket services of $5,000 or higher over the phone. That's scenario 1. Scenario 2 is they allow it, but up to a certain point. So for example, they allow it during the pre-qualification process. They allow it during the setting and qualifying, but they don't allow it when it actually comes to collecting the credit card. And lastly, 3, they do allow the AI closer to take credit cards over the phone, but at that point, they have to give massive disclosure on the front end that AI will be taking their sales call, and then also get massive consent on the sales call to being sold to by AI. And as more and more internet gurus and coaches pop up and trust gets less and less and less in this industry, I don't see someone having to consent to an AI robot on the phone that they know is just gonna try to manipulate them and do whatever it can to have them close a deal, take a credit card in hand. I don't see that helping their trust any further and helping them close at a higher rate. And so even if we got to that worst case variable rate, I still see human closers being needed and outperforming AI closers just due to trust and talking to a human over the phone alone. Because for example, at the end of the day, no woman who's wanting a fitness coaching program, who's going through hormonal changes in her body, wants to open up and knowingly consent all that information to an AI robot on the phone. But she will most likely do that with another woman who's gone through that herself, came out the other side, is now a coach on the inside of the program helping out with that. And because of that, humans are going to win over trust every single time opposed to robots. And so that leads us to ultimately the second massive resistance barrier I don't see AI being able to cross, and that's FTC laws and regulations. And so because of this, ultimately, I think you're safe. But that does not mean you should be sitting on your ass doing nothing and being comfortable. Because at the end of the day, AI will be starting to take out majority of your work when it comes up to the close. And unless you're using AI to get ahead of all the other closers using that and waiting to get replaced instead of waiting to innovate, you will most likely be let go sooner versus a closer that does. 2, using AI to identify most common objections you get, use that data, articulate that data, and then help you move forward better as a closer. Such as Gong, for example, which doesn't do it as good, but it has a good job of identifying points in the call you might have lost them, and you can review that, look back at that, review it yourself, see how you can improve, and then apply that to the next call. You see, the closers that know how to use AI in their favor versus the closers that will sit on their ass and do nothing until AI is knocking on their doorstep. Those are the ones that are going to stay in this industry long term. They're going to continue to win. And they're going to continue to get better and better and better. And the last thing I'll say here is, let's say everything I just predicted is wrong. That still means you should probably get into high ticket sales now. Even knowing in 5 years if this industry would be hypothetically vanished, at that point, if AI is replacing sales at the highest level, it's also replacing every other job possibly known to mankind, and we're all fucked. So my recommendation to you is not to sit here and watch a bunch of prediction videos like I'm giving you right now, but to actually get to work, get in sales, start closing at the highest level, stack cash in your bank account, stack cash in your investment account, and so if that day does come, you never have to worry about working again. And that is a much better feeling than getting some hope from a random stranger online on the internet, such as myself. So if you want help getting to closing, if you want to understand closing at the highest level, I have tons of trainings by that. Go ahead and watch those at your own leisure. See you on the next one.